All right, so there's this announcement that was made. I'm recording this a little bit in advance. I was gonna try to make something a lot more in depth, and I'll try to do that still probably tomorrow. But as of today, I just want to cover it so that everyone knows what's going on. So there's a fifth rebalance wave. I don't think many people saw this coming, but here it is on Discord. This is the early announcement that us content creators got, but this is going to be public by the time that this video comes out. So based on your feedback and our analysis of the last rebalance, we've decided to continue making further tweaks to improve Mech Arena. You can expect the next iteration of changes to go live on the 5th of June. Now this means, there might even be a 6th wave. You know, the fact that there's 5 means that there might be 6, there might be 7. Our core goal remains the same as last time. We're aiming to improve underperforming mechs and weapons while toning down some overly strong recent additions. We will also address builds used for SP dropping. I've read this before. I'll get to my thoughts about that. So when the upcoming Surge of the Rebalance will be released 14 days from today on the 5th of June, it'll actually be the 4th of June, they made an update to this. So they gave, fun fact, they gave us this announcement 2 days in advance. And then today, like a couple hours before it's going to be announced, they're like, oh, hey, we're actually going to release it a day early. Okay, there goes all my plans for making, you know, a more in-depth video on the topic, as well as a different video that I've been working on for a really long time. But we'll get into that later. I'm really annoyed, but we'll get into that later. Some old favorites are getting buffs to help them compete better in current meta to live up to their legendary grade. And this should be the key note, right? Everything that is legendary should be pretty decent. It should be of good value, which it's not. But here we have a redox buff. Let's go. Speed is going from 16 to 22. Pretty big speed buff. The HP is going from 170,000 at max, which is the same as Surge and Eclipse, so pretty low. It's like Scout HP. Up to 227, which I'm not really sure exactly what HP that is, but I think it's about the same as maybe Brick House. It's a little heftier, but it's not that much. The ability damage is going from 45,000 to 79,000, which I believe is about the same as like Gatecrasher damage now. Decent damage. Grants a personal shield, which really bad HP, so the personal shield is basically useless. And a speed boost, 50% for ability duration. Really interesting. So they're going to give it a speed boost for the ability duration. But with 22 kph base speed, by the way, this thing is going to be zooming, especially if you use it with Charge Rocket. It's the first thing that I'm going to do when this buff hits. It's going to be really interesting. And then, of course, they have their note here and the reason as to why they buffed it, but I don't think I'm going to bother reading it because we all know why they buffed it, because it's really garbage. Blast RPG, damage per shot plus 35%. Very much needed. Blast RPG's damage is really extremely garbage, and this might make it usable. Disc Launcher, damage plus 35%. They're rebuffing Disc Launcher. So for people who didn't know, if you haven't been around, this has happened like almost 2 years ago, maybe even longer than that. It's been a long time. So Disc Launcher used to be the top meta weapon. It was really, really strong. They nerfed the damage at range, so the damage fall off. They never touched the base damage. It was just the damage at range and the damage radius. So they changed it so the damage radius has damage fall off, which I think every radius weapon should have damage fall off, but I digress. They made it so that the damage radius can't deal back damage, which I don't know why they did that if they already had a damage fall off on the radius, but whatever. And then they also made it so that it lost more damage at further ranges, like it had higher damage fall off. And so now they're buffing just the base damage. None of the other things are being addressed, just the base damage. I do think that they should reintroduce back damage on the radius, but even still might be decent. Chain gun damage per shot plus 25%, very much needed. I don't think this is going to be enough, though. I think it needs like at least 30%. It's so bad. Chain gun damage is so bad. But this might make it usable. The benefit of chain gun, obviously, is that the effective range is extremely high, as opposed to minigun, which loses a ton of damage at range. Chain gun really doesn't. It has very little damage fall off. It has very good accuracy. So, yeah, that's, potentially a good one. One mech will be reworked. It'll be soulless. The blind effect is going from 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds. And they're giving it a speed boost plus 80% for 3 seconds. I don't know why. Ability cooldown is going from 8 seconds to 12 seconds. Their justification of this one is that People find the blind to be really annoying. And I agree with that. I think it's like, obviously, yeah, everybody found the blind to be really annoying. If the blind is so intrusive, I think they should make it less. Instead of making it just like an actual white screen, just make the screen like glitch out a lot. Maybe put like the blind logo, like icon thing, like right in the middle of your screen to make it harder to see what's right in front of you. But even still, yeah, no, I mean, definitely it was annoying. This is going to make it significantly worse. I'm not even sure Solus is going to be really usable. 3 seconds already wasn't great. 1.5 seconds is going to be almost nothing. And of course, they were also saying like, oh, well, you know, Solus isn't very good against bots, and so that's why we're doing this. Okay. The following nerfs will address some of the most frequently reported overperforming mechs and weapons, along with mechs commonly used for SP dropping. Dreadnought and Nomad. The ability damage will be decreased on all ranks except max level. It's not going to affect its late game max level performance, which is good, but it's going to seriously impact its low level performance. And I mean seriously. Like, let's look at Dreadnought at rank 4. My Dreadnought is rank 4 on my free-to-play account. 41,000 damage is what it usually does. It's going to go down to 18,000. It's less than half. And then Nomad's going to go from 30 to 20. So Nomad doesn't get hit quite as hard by it, but Dreadnought does. Bro, that's disgusting how much that drops by. Dreadnought's already not that good. Unless you're SP dropping, Dreadnought's not that good. And so this is going to make my Dreadnought kind of unusable, I think. I don't think it's even going to help anything. It's just going to continue being what it is, but whatever. I think it's going to seriously impact Dreadnought at, like, rank 4, rank 5 for the people who are playing legit. Right? Not just the SP droppers, but all the people who are playing legit. They're going to have extremely weak Dreadnoughts especially. So that's kind of annoying. I'm not a huge fan of that. Deathwalker is going to get a nerf. The ability cooldown is going to go from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. Now, it was always 15 seconds. I'll clarify that after. The HP restoration is going to go from 10% to 5% of max HP. So you're going to heal half as much as you usually did, and your cooldown is going to be 15 seconds always. Now, I say always because here's how it works, and this isn't really explained at all in the mech description, so this is just a fact, right? Deathwalker has 2 different ability cooldowns. One is the 15-second just regular ability cooldown that it has. If you use your ability, you go toward an enemy, they shoot you, they send you back, you have a 15-second cooldown, or at least you should. And the second one is like a pity cooldown. It's kind of the same as like if you shoot an Orion Hunter's Mark, but you don't hit somebody, you get a much lower cooldown to be able to try again. Deathwalker has a similar thing. So if you use your ability and then your ability just ends and you didn't, like, you never got sent back, nobody killed you and put you back into your original spot, your ability just times out. It just runs out of time. Then you get a reduced cooldown of 10 seconds. The problem was that there was a bug where this 10-second cooldown was your base cooldown, and even if you got sent back, it would cause your cooldown to be 10 seconds as opposed to 15. And yeah, here, this is essentially what they're saying. We're making these changes because of a bug that was affecting its ability cooldown time, fixing the issue by making the cooldown 15 seconds regardless of whether you've been killed while the ability is active, so it no longer is going to have that pity cooldown, essentially. And that's the only thing that's going to change outside of the HP, like, healing percentage. So actually, the Deathwalker nerf is basically nothing. I'm surprised they didn't nerf it by more, actually. Burrow Beam, now this is a really interesting one, because I have to ask myself what they're thinking and what exactly they've been doing with their time. The damage will be split 70% to shield, 30% to HP. Damage per shot is going to go up slightly, and the reload time is going to go from 3 seconds to 4.5 seconds. Sure. Okay. But why is it going to be split 70-30? This change is due to an unexpected behavior of the weapon's main mechanic. The Burrow Beam was overpowered because it dealt twice as much damage as it should. 100% of the damage went to HP, and another 100% of the damage went to mods and shields. This should have been the same 100% and not 100 plus 100. This is a concept that I understood from the nanosecond that it released. The second that it got released, I understood immediately how Burrow Beam worked, and I assumed that it was intentional. Because how could it not be? Yeah, duh. The projectiles, they travel until they hit a shield. They deal damage to that shield, but they don't get stopped by the shield. They keep going. So naturally, they continue. After dealing damage to the shield, they continue to then deal damage to the mech. So yeah, duh, they do full damage to anything in its way. Like, if you're shooting, same with Howlers, right? If you're shooting at two enemies that are like one in front of the other, and you hit both of them, right? Because like Howler can pass through enemies. So if you do that with Howler, you hit the first enemy for full damage, and then the projectile just keeps going and you hit the second enemy for full damage. And it's the exact same thing with Burrow Beam, except instead of two enemies back to back, it's an enemy with a shield back to back. It's the exact same thing. So yeah, obviously I knew that this happened, and it's insane to me that not only did they not intend for this to happen, but they didn't even think that it would happen. Like, it's the most obvious thing ever. So this is completely ridiculous. I have no idea why. I don't even know how this happens. But whatever. But don't worry, we're not decreasing the damage by half. We're reworking the shield penetration mechanic to make them more familiar to players. This is how the shield penetration works on Tetra Rifle. For example, from now on, only 30% of the damage that Burrow Beam deals will apply to HP if there are shields or mods on the target. Plus, we're increasing the reload time because the damage cycle was also a bit too much. The reload time, yeah, that was my biggest thing. The way that it fires, it's similar to like Missile Rack and Storm Rack. They deal a lot of damage. If you can't reasonably kill something in a single magazine, then the weapon's just bad straight up. But if you can, then you need to make sure that the reload time is not super short. Otherwise it becomes, super overpowered. So the reload was the main thing that I had always thought the Burrow Beam needed. But this is just, I'm just flabbergasted, honestly. And so it's going to theoretically take you about 3 times longer to kill an enemy with Burrow Beam, but you'll deal extra damage to the shield, so you'll probably destroy the shield before the enemy goes down, then you'll deal 100% damage to the enemy. So I'll get into the specific numbers on that later. That's actually what I really wanted to do with this video, was recalculate essentially how long it would be expected to take for a lot of these new weapon changes to actually get kills, right? So like Blast RPG is one, obviously. Burrow Beam is another. It's really important. Again, it's really important that if a Burrow Beam in a single magazine can't kill most things, then that just makes it a garbage weapon. And I don't know if that's what this change does yet. I will calculate the numbers and I will make a separate video to determine whether or not that would be the case. But that it 100% depends on whether or not it can kill in one magazine. That's essentially what I'm trying to say, is that this weapon relies on that. Because if it doesn't, then you spend a full 4 seconds on the magazine, another 4 seconds on the reload, another 4 seconds on another magazine. It's like 10 seconds at least, and you may as well be using a different weapon at that point. What's next after this rebalance? Continue closely monitoring player feedback and in-game performance and make future adjustments if needed. We hope you enjoy these changes, and we welcome any feedback you might have. So, I think this is a pretty decent one. Again, I think it fully hinges on Burrow Beam whether or not it remains to be meta, because if they nerf it to the point where it's not really, where it's just garbage, then I'm gonna be annoyed. Like, really annoyed. It has nothing to do with my free-to-play account. It has everything to do with, I really don't like it when something goes from really OP to really garbage, right? Like, slowly phasing out something is okay. Like, a lot of the mechs were slowly phased out, to be honest. But when they directly nerf something to the point where it's garbage, that's when I really have a problem. But apart from that, that's the only one that I'm really concerned about. And that I'm not sure of. Like, the results of that I'm not so sure of. The Deathwalker one, basically nothing's going to change. I think it was a good change. I would have increased the cooldown by even more, to be honest. The Dreadnought Nomad thing, I think, was unnecessary. It's whatever. The Solus change, I think, is going to make Solus kind of bad, sadly. The Chain Gun, I don't think it's going to be good. Still, Disc Launcher, same deal. Still don't think it's going to be good. Blast RPG might be okay, but again, the main problem with Blast RPG is that the homing mechanic actively fights you, and it tries to make it so that your damage radius isn't useful. So that's annoying, and it'll probably not be meta regardless. The Redox one, though, a change like this could make it pretty good, especially with the speed boost of 50% for the entire ability duration, which is like 6 or 7 seconds, right? And so, yeah, that is everything. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm kind of annoyed that they still haven't buffed Brick House. They should. the balance, they should always start by buffing the stuff that's bad, right? Like, yeah, you can say like, oh, well, this thing's too strong, so you should nerf it. And that's probably true, but you should start by buffing the stuff that's bad, because you never know what's going to happen after that. I'm glad to see some buffs here, but it's like 50-50 in terms of buffs and nerfs. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Once again, I will have another video, hopefully tomorrow, that's going to go a lot more in-depth, especially on the burrow beam topic, because I think that's going to be the deciding factor on whether or not this is going to seriously impact the meta. But otherwise, I think decent. I'll give it like 8 out of 10. Preemptively, it might go down to like a 6 out of 10 if the burrow beams end up being bad. But yeah, that'll be it for me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.